Tree.
It's just funny, eh?
Boom.
Hee-haw.
Welcome.
We on 18.
1-8.
Yeah.
Too short at 20. All right, good.
She could drink legally, you know.
We have a interesting episode this evening, guys.
Oh yeah. We got G here. We G's here. So say hi.
Say hello, G.
Say hello.
Hello,
Good,
people.
good stuff.
All right, that's enough, right? Good. Also, we just want to briefly introduce our guest. He's going to give you a background of himself, and we take it from there. Shoot away, brother.
All right. So my name is Allister Sandy. I am a clinical psychologist. Yeah. Yeah. So basically what that means is that I see people, I try to help them through emotional difficulties, mental illness problems, that sort of thing. I also help children with diagnosed and learning disabilities, that sort of thing as well. I just basically do almost everything that the field does, but yeah.
Okay.
Oh gosh, G, no, I rape him already. I let him at least drop her offer first.
That what going on?
No.
Nah, she watching.
No.
She said, yes, a psychologist. And I was like,
Oh.
yeah. She twirled that here.
Dreamboat.
Oh, yeah, only time she duck at us, right?
Yeah.
We get abducted in this motherfucker.
All right. Nice. Okay, so what we really here to do tonight is understand the landscape, the dating marketplace, the issues.
Hey, Mike.
Understand the landscape, the issues that affecting our dating marketplace. Definitely, we have some unique issues affecting us in Trinidad. Okay, and we finally brought a professional here who has some insight in terms of what really is taking place culturally from a familial sense on a societal level. How the issues that we face are really impacting on the children, the men, and the women in our society. All right. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions, if you don't mind. We should turn away from the hip.
Yeah.
It's our first segment. All right. When it comes to men and women in the market, when I say the market, I hope you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the sexual marketplace.
Yeah, right. Good. With men and women in the market, there are quite different views as opposed to who's who. Of course, this is like a chicken and egg scenario. Who is really responsible for the breakdown between the genders? You know. So from your clinical point of view, you could tell us basically what you've been seeing as one of some of the major issues that really are affecting both men and women that we could start addressing.
All right. So when you say, let's first define, when you say breakdown in the genders, what do you mean? In terms of what divorce rates or just general relationship
So
dynamics?
There's a general issue when it comes to men and women. We both face each other with a lack of respect, first and foremost. We're talking about off the bat. You go to, let me say, you go to a club and you see a young lady and a young lady sees a young man. What is the narrative that is being spread among people in terms of getting together from that level? Before we even reach to the divorce rates, before we even reach to the abuse, before we even reach to the sexual liberation, per se.
So you're just talking about how smoothly that initial encounter goes between a man and a woman when they see each other and they meet, and how that interaction plays out and why it often goes south.
Why it always goes sour.
All right. Okay. All right. So basically, one of the things is that when a man and a woman interact, well, first to start with, just the first thing, a man sometimes is not socialized properly in terms of understanding what a woman would like. Often a man pursues a man how he would, pursues a woman how he would like to be pursued by a woman.
Pause one time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's why a lot of times people get unsolicited pornography on the phone and that kind of thing, messaging, just because he knows that he would like to see.
Oh, he want nudes. So he projected.
He would like nudes. So a lot of times he projects that. Right. Okay, this is what I'll do. I'll send this and I'll impress she or something like that.
Right.
And a lot of the times it's also like just the cat calling on the streets, that sort of thing. I have always told people I have never seen that work. I have never seen an individual say, hey, sexy, did I want to pass in the car? And she just like, that sounds like a good guy. I'm gonna get in the car with him. Like, I
Yeah.
have never seen that work, but
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
and of course, there is a woman is going to interpret things in a particular way when you step to them in terms of that. And again, it has to depend on the training of the woman, what the woman has been socialized with.
Right.
Anybody saw that video that's popular on YouTube and Facebook now with the Cheesecake Factory woman?
Oh yeah. We covered that last week.
Yeah.
We covered that last week.
Okay, right. So yeah, so she had certain expectations based on how she was raised, and it's unfortunately it is a human tendency, and this is just a fact of psychology, that when somebody has acquired things or privileges or whatever it might be, they inherited like money from somebody else, or you win the lotto or whatever. It doesn't even have to be anything that you earned yourself,
Right.
but you come to view yourself as deserving of that thing.
That
And a lot of the
privilege.
times when somebody is, a woman is raised in a privileged background, right? She doesn't view herself as, I in a big car because I got daddy buying me this car, right? She views you as the person coming to talk to her, but I have a big car. You gonna
Understood. So, culturally, right, based on Trinidad and Tobago, our culture is one where people don't really, as you rightfully alluded to just now, people don't really look at merit. They look at what you have. All right? So,
By merit, you mean they don't look at character?
character. They don't look at, hey,
What we
this
was
person
talking
is
about.
a hard worker. This person actually has done so much for themselves to reach this far. What they look at is, does he have the jewelry? Does he have the clothes? If he's a club promoter, right?
Movies.
Women, and for men to women, what they look at is she dressing suggestively? Is she pretty?
If she running,
if
running nanny.
running sex. That's basically what we look for. And I guess that's what he was alluding to, as to those preliminary indicators are not justifiable enough.
Well, and it's not just a modern day issue. That has been always an issue in terms of the genders will try to trick the other gender into seeing what they could get the best of. Everybody has their optimum. So a woman would know that physical appearance is what the other guy is looking for. So dress, makeup, etc. Right? A man know that.
I love it.
A man knows that, well, they're not consciously know, but at least be socialized to know that they have to present themselves in a particular way, right? So she may be looking for a provider. I have to show signals that I can provide, and signals I can provide is in the wealth that I portray, right? Right? Unfortunately, that now opens people into being, because thing is, when you're looking for signals and you can't tell the difference between the signal to the actual thing that is being signaled, you open yourself up to manipulation,
Right.
Because this is how, well, people talk often about narcissists, right? This is what a narcissist does in terms of, as narcissists will mimic signals of wealth and ability to provide and of confidence.
I feel
And
real good.
that is something that a narcissist can do, present to someone who is not very skilled at defining or understanding the difference between the signal and the thing itself, right? And they mistake the shadow for the substance, right? But so a narcissist may come and they may present themselves in a particular way, like introduce you to the colleagues. It's colleagues, but they'll say, "This is my staff here, my staff." How they phrase it, "This is my staff."
But did that sound like somebody we know?
These are impressionists. Yeah.
It's my staff and stuff, and they may, they can present in two different ways. One, some narcissists may actually strive to acquire things,
Right.
so that people get that admiration, and then other people might just try to
But
feel entitled to it.
how prevalent is narcissism now in Trinidad? I mean, that's what you can see based on you dealing with people.
Well, the thing about it is, in terms of clinical presentation, you will always underestimate how many narcissists. And I just want to make a clear distinction between narcissist and narcissistic personality disorder in terms of that is the clinical presentation. Different things. Somebody could have narcissistic traits without being a full-blown narcissist, right? But so you'll never. You have to kind of go on very shaky statistics, right? I think the statistics that are out now, and this is not for Trinidad, this is just in general, is between 0.5 and 5%, right?
Okay.
Which is good.
And what's funny about that, to be honest with you, is that ladies will still find themselves with one.
Somehow
in that point.
they always saying he was a narcissist.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, the narcissist is not going to just stick with one lady.
Understood.
Right? That is why so many of them could find a narcissist, because the narcissist is not localized.
They're working overtime.
Yeah, they're working overtime. They're picking up everybody they can pick up, because they crave that admiration. Right?
Okay.
And they present themselves in a way that is something that may fool a female into thinking this person is actually somebody of substance, etc.
Right. So from the male perspective, it's easy to, well, it's not easy, but he's more identifiable, a male narcissist. But when you say narcissism, I would be sure that it will go across the board as well.
Yeah.
Onto the next
Although it does tend to present more in males.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
These statistics for that is like 50% to 75% male.
Damn.
Right? So at best it's 50-50, but most likely not.
Okay.
Right?
And in spotting our female narcissists now, what would we advise men to look for?
Well, first is that with you probably would not worry that much about a female narcissist as an individual. The reason why is because a female narcissist is not looking for the average man.
Understood. No, yeah,
Right?
yeah, fine.
Not looking for the average man.
Right.
Oh, so basically being average has saved your soul.
Safe, yeah, for us, let's safe.
You approach a female narcissist and the brace you'll get.
Yeah.
They what they do in Bravos, they what
Exactly. Yeah.
I just call it
that will be the immediate shop scenario.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know that you dodged the bullet that you dodged.
You didn't, yeah, because you're feeling rejection.
But because what you said just now was that the male version is portray himself with wealth. The female version of that is they portray themselves as being sweeter than they are, I guess, because they would more makeup, more thing, and that's the
they want to look good. They want the admiration of other people. They mind if you look at it.
Yeah. But they're not going to give you that attention.
Yeah, but don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Because you don't have something
Across
that
there.
she wants.
Exactly.
Understood. So we tend to see that a lot in our
what the social medias,
in our social media, in the marketplace again. When you go out and you see men get embraced left, right, and center.
What you had to do for a flex now? I don't know.
Yeah, no. You see a lot more women rejecting men based on the fact that I
broke.
don't know if to diagnose it, because I can't diagnose it as narcissism. But what I would safely say is that it really resembles some unhealthy behaviors, all right? Where mediocre looking women, and I'm not trying to bash them, tend to set their standards a little bit too high. And a nice little gentleman coming and approaching you, and you're literally giving him the coldest shoulder you could ever give him. You know, we look at that because we just go out and just do some field reporting. We look at that and we tend to ask the question, what does it take for a man now to really acquire the attention of an average female? Because the so-called average, I hate to use that word, but I have to use it for the context of the question. The so-called average females tend to have a more lofty standard for themselves. You know, so these men dodging bullets, yes, but at the same time, everybody want to, hold to
Yeah.
right? So when we look at that, is it now that there's a misdiagnosis in terms of the amount of female narcissists? You know?
I was alluding to that earlier in terms of clinical representation. You're definitely not going to get, you're never going to see that many narcissists because you're not coming for treatment. Because
Nobody coming.
Nobody coming for treatment for narcissism.
Exactly, because
Alright.
nothing is wrong with you
Good.
as far as you are concerned. Right? So, so that's, you're not going to see that in terms of clinical practice that often, unless they're being forced. Occasionally you may see it because my girlfriend told me to come, or my sister told me to come, and everybody pressured me to come.
Yeah.
Or,
So they're not really coming on their own accord.
exactly. And I don't believe this thing is really working. I just say because. Yeah.
You know, it's like you do the rule neck there. I just sense demographically,
It's a certain
it's a certain demographic that does that. That's all I'm going to say. He didn't call you race, but
Don't even do that.
he didn't call you race, but you roll our neck. I was like,
Don't even do that.
Your neck was meant to indicate anything particular.
Okay, so we're moving on into the topic, right? From that, so a man and a woman meet. and in your experience as a clinical psychologist, you would see them having certain issues as a couple, all right? What challenges do you see as the most prevalent challenge that couples face in coming to you for certain help?
All right. So a lot of times, sometimes people just start off bad with values in terms of being very different and not compatible with each other.
Okay.
Right. So people would be like, some people would be very, very, well, what we would call the personality trait of conscientiousness. They're very neat, they're very orderly, they're very, well, I don't want to necessarily put ambitious in there, but very neat, very orderly, very industrious. Right?
Methodical, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have somebody who might not fall literally be on the other spectrum of that. Right? And it was good when you was
Just bullying.
exactly, but when you're living together,
You can't say it like how you want to say it. I had to make it plain for the plain Janes who listen to this.
when you have the house and you have the child together and stuff, problems because somebody is very high on conscientiousness. They have a very low tolerance for disorder and that sort of thing. And the other person is just, they don't mind. It just, this could be here and that could be there.
Lazy,
and I just,
fair.
I don't want to call it lazy, but they just...
No, not lazy. Say lazy fair. Lazy fair.
Okay. Yeah, but they are less put off by that. So when you have to deal with somebody who is highly conscientious now, and initially when you are apart, you might have had different perspectives. The person might say, oh, that person is so driven, so motivated, whatever. But living together now, that person's so boring, so always controlling, always, because they want things in the other person wants things in an orderly way. Right? And the other person now may at first idealize the person as, oh, they're so free-spirited, they're so this, they're so that, whatever. But now it looks to them in that close environment of the relationship as this person lazy, this person that, tell this person to do this and do this, and they're always flaking. And
Well, shouldn't then that the case be, because what you explain in there, and I could just be dumb here, is that somebody coming from a situationship, most people coming from situationships or whatever like that, and then they making relationships over that, they was just bullying us like, we might as well deal. Or we talking about people, because in Trinidad now, we really didn't, the only relationship we really had was marriage, the main one. It didn't really have no boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing. It was, we was coming from post-colony, I think. It really had boyfriend, girlfriend back in the 40s, 50s.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But it had that?
I think it was just courtship.
But the village knew what was going on. Kind of vibe I took. I mean, in a case where now, hey, let me go for a little cinema thing, and you're dating this girl, that girl. But you really looking to bull. She looking to see what she could get from you, and then you're not bullying it. She physiologically started to get pay bonding to you or whatever, and then it's like, oh, we bullying, might as well deal, because this next girl are trying to bullying me, so. And I can't get nothing else from these other men, so I might as well.
So basically what you're saying is that scarcity is what driving people together.
That's why I purport it.
That scarcity driving.
Purport it.
These incompatible people to find themselves in a unit together.
Scarcity is not that much of a problem now when you have dating apps and that kind of thing.
Have you been on dating apps? It's the bottom of the barrel. Trust me.
I could literally
dating
second
apps,
that.
social media, all of that drama. It's just more ways to connect with people.
So social media to me, I've literally not lying to tell you that. Like every single chick that I have met over social media does not look like what she looks like on social media. All the girls that I find like real, except for one. One girl, and I told you who it was, and it's still shocking to me to this day that the one person who I think has like the worst personality of them all is the one that looks like.
Right.
Who is the one that looks exactly like? It's the one that looks exactly like a photo, and that's why she's gay on later, because she could.
Exactly.
Pretty privileged.
Pretty privileged. Yeah. All right, so you were saying that scarcity is not so much the issue because everybody could connect a little bit more.
Yeah.
The issue that I want to raise to you.
But just to close off that
Sure.
whole personality thing, it might not be necessarily scarcity, but just you have a good enough experience with the individual when you will have more of a range to interact with.
Only fucking for a while.
And you like the person, but you don't take account of how our differences are going to project into the future. Right? How how you not going out as much? How fast I might get fed up at that if I somebody who always like to go out.
Long-sighted.
Before you go on the next topic, because with that now, could that also relate to interracial relationships? Because okay, we're an island, multicultural, whatever. But I come from a background East Indian. I grew up 100% staunchly East Indian. That's the only culture I know. But then for some reason I go Iwi, meet this black girl or meet this Chinese girl. She comes from a staunchly Chinese background. Could that also cause because we from culturally different?
Yeah. You may not be compatible on very serious issues.
Yeah, because she would be like, oh, Christmas, I like Diwali, and she's like, nah, Diwali shit, I worship in Jesus.
Yeah. People underestimate how much compatibility differences could mean for a relationship.
Especially in a multicultural society. Yeah.
Stick within your races. Stick within your...
So what would you recommend is the remedy for such a challenge? Because it's a multicultural society. Chances are you're going to find somebody you like but not compatible with, in terms of long-term or longevity. So one, from your experience or expertise, what would you recommend to be the things that people should look for as opposed to just allow to happen?
Listen to this one, Reggie. Listen to this, Reggie.
Do that reflection in terms of, and I mean, I could say it and it'll be all good and well for me to make these points, but when people are in the situation and they have the feelings and everything going helter-skelter all over the place and stuff, it's unlikely for them to take the advice that they are being given, right?
It's bitter medicine.
Yeah, unfortunately. But a lot of times, your parents might point out things, especially if you're young, right? You have parents who have good intentions for you and you never had particularly bad experiences with them. They are going to be looking out for you all of the times. And it might be in your benefit to give their advice some critical analysis and give them a listening ear in terms of, okay, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, they've been through it. You might be 19, 20 and you're in your first, second relationship. They're not on the first and second relationship, most likely.
He call it demograph there and things. So yeah, that man is sneaking out the window to go and meet and your mother tell you that man no good for you.
Yeah. They know. Moms know what it's like to probably be with somebody who not particularly ambitious and not having a stable job and not looking for a stable job and stuff, and then she end up with your dad, and she understands now that if I was with this particular guy before, I could not pay for your school books.
Right. So that's a real difficult thing to tell both men and women, because the heart wants what the heart wants, and they start looking at things from a very skewed point of view.
Our next piece of advice there is don't do anything that would make things permanent too fast.
Pull out. That's what you're saying. Pull out.
Yeah.
Use a condom. Pull out. That's what you say. Like, what
Take
you
your
say?
time. Take your time. Just take it easy.
Yeah.
I had to make it layman's for the people. Like, that's what you saying. Basically, pull out.
Because sometimes you end up in a relationship or in a situation
because
where you find the person trying to progress things quite quickly, right? So, like, give us like the number one or two of your red flags, the absolute biggest red flags that you would say in terms of going into a relationship with a young lady or a young man. That
this mainly have more for men. I mean, it is Ghana towards women because the majority of the audience is men. So, like, for the men first.
You're looking to get serious with a young lady. I've seen serious on a very... You interact with a young lady. What are the red flags that you're going to be looking for to make sure, hey, I could go forward with this, or I should just cut my losses and make an escape?
I want to be careful what I'm saying because I want it to be
fair,
accurate.
Okay.
Right? I don't want to just pull too much from just my experience. Okay, I'm gonna give the caveat here that this is probably not based exactly on like my awareness of the literature in terms of research and stuff. But if I see a large social media following but you're not a particular star or celebrity.
Okay. That's one.
Yeah, that's one.
I love it. Hey, yo. Everything we've said so far, light it up, Bazzy. This is good. Come off social media if you want to deep, man. I told you that.
Right.
And then another one would be how they treat you. I mean, they how invested they are in you.
Understood. Fair enough. I mean, fellas, listen to that. That's a very crucial thing. If she's a social media star without actually being a particular star, that's a red flag. All right.
If our talent is shaking ass on social media, I might be the one, guys. Might not be the one.
And again, I'm making that as a total, but like just on my experience.
Oh, yeah, went down the ass
general.
shakers. Yeah, went down the ass shakers. Good stuff.
All right. Good. Interesting. That's a. You know, I didn't think about that one.
Well,
Social media. If you have so much followers and you don't have.
like, what you on social media?
Yeah, what are you already doing on social media with all these followers?
Much followers there, G.
But yeah, so
It's more than 500, something wrong. Yeah? We had to talk after this. Talk after the show.
oh gosh.
Just from what I've seen, it just gives the idea to the individual that you are replaceable.
Of course.
Wow.
That's profound. So, in Trinidad and Tobago, family plays a significant role in our society is shaped and formed.
Let's talk.
Let's
talk anyway.
In Trinidad and Tobago,
Good stuff.
their family plays a significant role in how society is functioning. All right. I, from a personal perspective, have seen their breakdown in family. You know, the key factors that breaks family down from your clinical expertise. You know, because you also mentioned that you deal with children, the children's authority, and of course, when you deal with children, you have to deal with parents.
Yeah.
So, like the major issues that cause families to break down from the get-go, what might the most important issues that jump out to you immediately be?
Infidelity, financial issues.
We talking about this is in order or?
I know there is an order. I can't remember what order it is in.
Damn it.
But yeah, that might actually differ from culture to culture.
Yeah.
But the infidelity, financial issues, different parenting styles, involvement of the in-laws in the relationship.
Okay. So when you say involvement of the in-laws, is that the in-laws too have too much of a say
Yeah.
in what it okay. Fine.
Especially if this is just from my experience in terms of practice. If one individual grew up with a sort of limited family and one individual grew up with extended family, then one individual is accustomed to having all of these inputs, and which is perceived by the other partner as invasive. Right? Why am I in my business? Well, she's just trying to help. But she's telling me things to do things, and to go and talk to her mother. But yeah, you and your mom have a certain kind of rapport and that kind of thing, and you don't approach your mom like that, and you have to kind of smoothen things out. But wife wants you to get to the point to tell her do this, that.
Understood. So you said infidelity, because that's a major issue that we deal with right now, right? In terms of women. Let me just say it. I want you to say it. Infidelity being a major cause for families being drifting apart, right? When you say infidelity, does this have I don't want to make this question be too controversial towards women. But
Who won anymore?
yeah. In a sense like that.
I realize you're beating around the bush here.
Yeah.
It's definitely men.
So men doing more of the infidelity.
Yeah.
All right.
Most of the research definitely shows that men.
Is women doing this research? That's why. It's the feminists doing it.
So in I mean, for the sake of trying to sound politically correct here, right? Because we have a thing going on. You had one good cop, bad cop situation, right? So for the sake of sounding politically correct, is it because of the fact that women report this issue more than men?
No.
Okay.
Oh my
just
God.
Making sure.
Hey, watch what she's like for. Watch she.
She said she come alive.
There are evolutionary psychological reasons or theories in terms of why men tend to be a little more
All right. So
unfaithful.
So due to that evolutionary psychological aspect, is it more advisable that, because we really want families to stay together, All right. So is it not that we should try to find a way or figure out a way by committee as a society to help or involve evolutionary psychology more in the understanding of how relationships work, so that people wouldn't find themselves in situations based on sociological narratives?
Well, the tricky part about that is not many people want that input because, okay, people are afraid or they dislike that sort of reductionist approach to relationships that evolutionary psychology would bring to that particular situation. Right? And because you might be thinking, okay, even the whole point of this conversation in terms of what we're thinking, we should bring families together and stuff, and you are thinking about it of this is what we're supposed to be doing, right? Evolutionary psychology itself might not necessarily state that keeping families together is what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Right?
Understood.
Right? So, and you might have a high opinion of that sort of love, affection, that sort of thing, keeping a marital relationship together, that is not necessarily present in evolutionary psychology as a topic or as a field.
So emotion comes out of play.
Throw the emotions away.
But so would you think that like polygamy would be the thing? That's what evolutionary psychology would promote?
Evolutionary psychology would promote whatever it is works best in that particular situation for the particular group, because it's not going to be a system that is ultimately going to be best for all situations, because it's about genes propagating within an environment, and when that environment changes, genes have to fix themselves to suit that particular situation.
Adapt.
Right?
Yeah.
So
a survival of the fittest then.
But so from
Polygamy, you know what I'm saying?
because this evolutionary psychologist, David Buss, he has a pretty good book, When Men Behave Badly, and he goes...
Write that down, fellas. We trying to get scholarly up on this.
It's a pretty good breakdown in terms of the evolutionary psychological field and how it relates to relationships, and specifically how it relates to how things that will happen in terms of abuse and domestic violence and why these things happen. Not justifying it, obviously.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
But to bring a concrete understanding of why these things happen. And it does help in terms of understanding what policies are likely to work and what policies are not likely to work. Because they had, I can't remember what country this was. I think it was one of the US states. I can't remember exactly where this exercise was done. But it was a campaign to bring awareness to, I think, men on college campuses, right? About staying away from domestic violence and not just domestic violence, but sexual abuse, basically, right? And the campaign was, okay, we're going to have a course, we're going to teach men not to be abusive to women, basically, right?
Teach men, all right, fine.
Yeah, right, and obviously money would have gone into creating those courses and that kind of thing, right? And what they found in terms of actually finding out if these things worked is, when it was in the course, it was a slight little uptick in terms of awareness and how men treated women.
Yeah.
Right? And then the follow-up course, after a few months after that, it was basically back to baseline level.
Okay.
And what people want to ignore with these things, they want to say, oh, we could teach people to act in certain ways and stuff, but they forget to take motivations into account. Motivations into account. The men who do these particular things are motivated to do it for particular reasons. Okay. And you telling them, it's just like having a course. Okay, we'll teach bandits not to thief.
Right.
but the bandit thieving because you want your stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So there's a need. There's a need in place. Not just understand.
So that is unlikely to work. Right? So
this was for like so many thin women because they just like to hate women.
Well, they have reasons for it in terms of let's go back to one in terms of intimate partner violence and that kind of thing, right? Let's look at one very specific type of example, right? Let's just say this individual is a narcissistic person.
The man or the woman?
The man, right? The narcissistic person. And they have portrayed themselves to women as being successful and thing. And I own my business and I am an entrepreneur and thing. And and I have a driving a BMW and I have a coaching and thing. And woman is most impressed by your how you present yourself and you look like you're going places and you're confident and all of that. And then she gets to live with you, right? Then you realize, when he's an entrepreneur, he making as much money as I thought.
He's seeing chinks in the armor.
And then does not drive a BMW.
He drives a BMW, but he in debt up to eyeballs.
The neck. Yeah.
And he basically forced his way. And then the individual knows that now I'm exposed.
Right.
So how I could keep you in a relationship after I get here?
Violence.
Right? Violence, such as isolating you from your friends. I try to make you feel less. Because
it's not good play. In all playing, it's not good play if you had to play the chess move. I mean,
definitely not encouraging that.
You're not encouraging it, but I mean, thinking about it is like
that
move.
So the person at the beginning of the relationship, he presented his value in a particular way.
Right.
But now he has to rescore that value system in terms of now, since you know I'm not here, I'm here. And he was here. Why don't I try to make you down here? I have to bring you down with me.
Yeah, attack your character.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
All right. That's a fair point. But
because I'm realizing one thing based on the conversation we having. Majority of these stats and like, I guess psychology and the whole now kind of coming across. And I could be, I don't know, red pill if you want to make me think like that. I could probably be a misogynist or a chauvinist. But it kind of fighting down men a little bit more than women.
Actually, that has not been my experience.
Yeah, so in more things is against women more, or like who's the
I can't say I was keeping score, but
gotta keep score, man. fight for the right.
I think it is accurate in its presentation of our behaviors and the reasons behind it, and the knowledge is just the knowledge, right?
So you come from a scientific
not for or against, it just is what it is.
Exactly.
Because I guess in many ways what we're trying to approach is since the advent of this equality conversation,
Feminism. Since feminism came up.
Feminism and women being equal to men, then what we are starting to see is, though women are said to be equal to men on a societal narrative, they still don't have to face the consequences men do, because from a relationship point of view, men are sort of held more responsible for certain things happening. Like he's the one responsible for going out and showing the woman what he's about so she could be attracted to him, X by Y by Z. Women are not burdened with the task
She just had to look pretty.
So they're not burdened with the task of actually going out and acquiring a mate. And therein lies the issue. If that is the case and someone is the pursuer and the pursuant isn't necessarily having to do much work to end up in a relationship, how then does it make it equal?
Okay. Well, the simple answer to that is not.
Oh my God.
God almighty.
Yeah.
It's not equal. It's not particularly fair from the man's point of view, right? There are reasons why it's not equal. Again, there are certain theories in the evolutionary psychological literature that would.
You have to give us like tell us things, and we will read the books and I will come.
Research.
Yeah.
All right, so
Just call books. I buy them. I will read the shit out of them.
just to give just the basic theory about why that is the way it is, and this is just not for humans. This is for mammals, most mammals, and most birds. Because if you look at the peacock, right, the peacock peacock risking neck because all our feathers and stuff make him a brilliant target
For predators.
right? So, but he has to have the best feathers.
And the female peacock
is brown,
frumpy as shit.
And yeah, but that whole thing happens because any species where the female carries the burden of childbearing,
Right.
the female now has to be selective in terms of, all right, I have more risk in terms of this going in for my health and my safety.
What do you mean?
Well, we viewing this from a modern privilege in terms of people don't die in childbirth that often, right?
Anymore.
But this was not the case. This was not the case for most of human history.
Back to the
right?
evolutionary psychology. Yeah.
This is not the case for most of human history. So for most of human history, a woman having a child for a man is a risk according to us there. And I have to weigh that. Well, a woman has to weigh that in terms of, all right, I'm risking my life, but I need to get my genes in the next generation, and I need to get with the best possible man that I could find.
Right.
Right. So the woman is now pursues a strategy where she is selective because of the risk.
Highly selective.
A man doesn't have to be selective because he doesn't have that kind of risk. He doesn't have to carry a child for 9 months and that kind of thing. What gives him the likelihood of having the most children is having the most sex with the most people.
Acquiring the most mates. Yeah.
So then hypergamy for women is the evolutionary
Exactly.
shit.
Yeah.
It's a tactic then.
It's a strategy. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
But no, yo,
it's hypergamy for women. It's prey and spray for men.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's exactly from the
wait,
evolutionary
pay
psychology.
and spray.
Prey and spray.
Oh, because if you say pay and spray, someone in my pocket, we can spray tonight.
Yeah, I guess it kind of comes down to pay too, but yeah.
Yeah, so we amended it. Pay and spray.
PPS?
PPS. All right. Excellent. All right. So coming after we delve into that and we understand now that it's not just because we want women to be more important in the whole gender issue. It's really an evolutionary trait.
Yeah.
Right? Now that society has become much easier, where women tend to say, I'm an independent woman now. And men don't really see why they are needed so much.
Let she say. Let her say what women are saying.
Yeah,
What you consider yourself? Like, are you?
You don't need
I'm
a
putting you on
man.
the spot. I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah, your
I
rules.
don't need nobody, no man to come and tell me how to live and them kind of things. Right? But I mean, you could also push back if you disagree with what we're saying because the token female on the panel.
We trying to not to
Yeah,
seem like
I see.
massage and they say run your mouth.
See what you had to say. Right? Back to what I was telling. Yeah, so looking at it from this is evolutionary psychology. This is something that is not just supposed to happen. This is just what happens. Wherein this whole equation, the easier society now could kind of, where do we bridge the gap? Where do we start looking at it from the point of view, well, you got to be a little bit more mindful that the risk was the risk. That's why you were so selective.
Yeah, but
It can't happen like that.
you can't just be like, oh well, you were conditioned to have this kind of propensity or attitude, but we don't need it, so you could just rationally stop now.
Can't just stop.
In the same way, a woman can be like, don't worry, even if you have 10 children, your 10 children will live, so you don't need to pray and spray. You don't need to have multiple people, and you say you could impregnate 50 women and maybe 10 might live.
Yeah.
No, we live in a modern society where all your children will most likely survive to adulthood. You don't need to have to seek novelty in sexual relationships anymore. You need to have to. Oh, I like this, but I also curious to find out how that is. And after you're curious to find out how that is, you can't just be like, now you can stop being curious about other women.
So is the goal ideally to progenate?
No, well,
From an evolutionary psychologist
Oh, from
perspective,
evolutionary
yeah.
side. No, because the men who might pull out game on 100, might think on this, but they just looking to bull along the place, then there's some mental disorder.
Well,
Because they ain't looking to breed, they're looking to just bull.
you see, the thing about this, again, we're looking at it from a perspective where we have the pill and we have condoms and we have evolution
Contraception.
Evolution didn't have to worry about contraception time. Evolution just had to make it nice enough for you to engage in sex and with the assumption that children would follow.
Understand. All right, so that brings us to a peculiar conundrum. Right? We have
And that it's his form one.
we have a conundrum here, right? Because this is where the conflict resides. Now that we identify that evolutionary psychology is something that takes place, we can't turn it off. Right? According to what we call it on the show, that's our monkey brain. All right? We have sociological standards in place. where
Norms, values.
the values and the norms start coinciding with our evolutionary psychology. And there are a lot of confused people now who have these urges and tendencies, but then are demonized for having them or chastised for having them. And that causes people to technically become silent perpetrators of the issue.
The specific which issue you're talking about here?
All right, the issue of men having to pray and spray and women hypergamizing, if that is a word. Right? So women become hypergamous because of the fact that they can't turn off hey, this man is a more suitable male than this man. Right? Men, if they are able to do so, will acquire as much females as possible because it's an instinctive reaction.
In general.
And it's not a breed, and the woman hypergamous not even for the child, but for herself.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
they don't need to be that way now. It's just
for her
an
genes.
instinct.
You
Yeah.
want to put it like that?
Yeah.
No, not for her. I want to say for herself. It's not for the child. And I looking to breed for you. I looking to breed for you so I could suck him dry.
Well, we identify. You go ahead, though.
Well, basically, it's both for her and the child because both of them represent her genes.
Understand?
Right? So she wants her genes are going forward in her child, and she wants her child to have, well, once unconsciously, I guess, her child to have the best outcome, and that's going to come with the best father.
No, but we talking about the chick that not looking to get a breed. She just like the rich man, the hypergamy in place.
But that is the unconscious element
The
of
background.
it.
The background.
Shit.
Yes. So her background behavior, and that's why we start to call girls hoes and any other derogatory
Gold
name,
diggers.
any other derogatory name, because what she's really doing is being more instinctive than sociological, if you want to use that, right?
People just in the same
Or-
way,
or value
nobody
oriented.
sits down and really rationalizes like I attracted to girls in short skirts because I want to be.
That's not how it is. Understood. So, I mean, we kind of empathize with them, but at the end of the day, it requires, just like a dog is instinctive, it requires some training to find some sort of conditioning in the right way, or discipline, if you want to call it that. The sexual discipline is lacking because there wasn't much in place when it comes to teaching the young children the right way.
We still cavemen.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which brings us to the next point. This is a very controversial point that I wanted to raise, is about single motherhood. All right. Me, from my layman view, I'm seeing a uptake or uprise in the amount of single mothers that exist in just my society in Trinidad and Tobago, per se. Could you tell us what are the disadvantages of mothers being either by choice or by force single mothers? What is the outcome of that
For the society.
for society?
There was some interesting research done on this in terms of one, and again, this is it ups the likelihood, but it doesn't mean that this is going to be guaranteed for any child or anything like that. But children raised in single parent and particularly single mother homes are more likely to be involved in childhood delinquency, substance abuse, and criminal activity. This is again. This
You're like drug children. It's your mother's fault.
This does not mean that everybody who comes from a single home, a single parent family, or that mothers out here doing the most.
Yeah.
Right. And even though in the situations where a child may fall into that kind of category in terms of being the statistic in terms of the criminal behavior and that sort of thing, it's not necessarily directly the mother's fault.
All right.
Right? I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
But the stats is what the stats is in terms of it carries these enhanced risks. Right?
So, with these enhanced risks, according to you, in place, our goal is to try to eradicate the problem or mitigate the circumstances. All right. So we looking to lessen the effect or the impact of single motherhood.
And just to train one additional fact, because it's going to be something that is going to be shot back if somebody is going to be like, it's only because they don't have the financial contribution of the father.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the father wasn't necessary. But just it's only because they're lacking the financial contribution. No, it has a small it has a small impact in terms of the financial input,
Yeah.
But apart from that, it is also the needy father.
They need their fathers.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you need a male influence, of course.
The biological father would be best.
Oh my God.
Because I was getting to that whole stepfather situation.
Yeah. Because
Oh God. These hoes are your minor child. I telling you.
the biological father would be best because the risk that I mentioned also sort of extends even to step-parent families.
The
Right?
same evolutionary psychology.
You see, well, this goes into like
The
forensic psychology and that's it.
Understood.
Psychology.
Okay, in a situation where like a biological, like me and G, we are one kid. She wanna bring other men around my child. That gonna be an issue because they not gonna love my child the same way I would love my child on subconsciously. I mean,
Basically.
damn.
Alright, understood.
No
Again-
matter how much money they gave, how much the times they have.
Again, this is not like it's gonna be reflected in every single.
Stop bringing them corny niggas around my child.
Yeah.
It's just been shown that is what the data says. I'm not even going to speculate as to why it is what it is. How?
But it's a subconscious or conscious thing?
Like
You
I said,
don't know.
I don't know in terms of that. I just know what the results say in terms of the propensity in terms of step parents, both stepfather and stepmother involved.
Damn. So the mother not even nurturing enough. Once it's not nurturing, it just is what it is.
The step
Step epidemic. Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
And Children's Authority, I think, also has some statistics in terms of who is likely to be the perpetrator of abuse.
Right.
Right? Sadly, is I think mostly is the biological mother when it does happen. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, say that again because
Sadly-
I was literally waiting to hear men.
No,
Yeah.
surprisingly, no.
The one when you say abuse, physical abuse or sexual abuse?
Physical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
The father not there, so the father not there most of the
most
time.
young boys are the recipient of
Physical abuse.
physical abuse from the closest their mother.
Because most of we grew up on a single mothers anyway, so that makes sense.
That's the first time I learned how strong my hand was when I could break a broomstick. I blocking it.
That's when I realized, a pot spoon don't do what it's supposed
It's
to
not
do when
hard,
it's
you know,
15.
when you think about it. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying. I really do. My experience is that I have come from an extended female oriented
Gynocentric,
family.
gotta use the big words.
It was the mother, grandmother, aunts, blah, blah, sister, everybody. But there was no male influence. Right? So I kind of unique in that aspect because I can't say that it was a single mother family. It was had the support of somebody.
The research did point out that having grandparents involved does mitigate the risk.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. So, back to the point, you were saying that. So, the research has shown that the biological mother impacts more than the rest abuse on the physical abuse on the offspring.
According to the stats from Children's Authority.
What about the sexual abuse? Who doing the most
I would have to pull up that account.
cross fingers?
All
Fellas, please don't let me down.
Most likely, man.
It's most likely.
Most likely would be, man.
Damn.
Might
Leave them
not-
little girls alone,
but
nigga.
It might be like, it would probably be probably not the father. I think it would probably be stepfather or relatives in the home, male relatives in the home.
Which tend to be the stories of plenty young women.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That was the talk. When they look good. When we make that joke,
Yeah.
when they look good in the
You got
hood.
paid to look good in the hood.
Yeah, because you're going to start to get touched from young, and it just, by the time you turn 18, 19, you're done.
It's all over.
You done share wrong a lot.
Yeah. It's startling to know that abuse happens from the person who you really think is going to be the most nurturing.
Yeah,
That's a startling statistic
yeah.
to begin with.
But okay, in terms of the abuse, physical abuse now, who does get more licks? The boy child or the girl child?
I'm not sure in terms of remembering these statistics exactly, but if I had to guess, I would assume it would be the boys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop them niggas. Them niggas babies. Them neglects.
All right, so
they aggressive.
So looking at them statistics, right? What can we literally, what can we conclude about these statistics that children are abused more, I would say, by their single mothers,
By mothers.
by mothers in general,
Yeah.
then that would kind of greatly increase the need for fathers in the home.
Yeah. The need for the father in the home cannot be understated.
No, wow.
All right. Because we kind of tend to lack the logic needed to progress into a more stable future. All right? And
Question after.
yeah,
Question.
we kind of lack that logic needed to progress into a more stable future. Logically speaking, we have the answers to the problem. We need to mitigate not mitigate, but control certain behaviors on the two sides so that we can have a better outcome in the future. If these behaviors are not controlled, of course, we see in the results. Why then is it that the powers that be, the authorities that be, don't, just like how they could create a stronger law for seatbelts,
Or decriminalize weed.
or decriminalize weed, or do anything from a legal point of view. I'm not saying ban promiscuity because that's a nonsense objective. All right, this going back to the can't stop the monkey brain. But what I'm saying is that kind of make people incur consequences for certain actions.
Like how China, you could only have certain amount of kids or something like that.
Yeah, that was a one-child policy.
One child.
And that came back and bite them hard.
Yeah,
but
that
anyway.
one-child policy extreme. But I'm talking about the wanton disregard for the younger generation, for the children. Because we saw this week going, or was it last week, where a young lady in secondary school was cussing out a teacher and she called her mother and was cussing the teacher in front of the mother and doing the most. And time and time again we would see children acting out based on the fact that they were allowed to act out in such a manner. Ultimately becomes the parent's responsibility as to why this child behaving in such a way. Why then is it not something that's in place already to have punitive measures in place for the parents of these ill-behaved children so that we could sort of prevent the issue from happening from the beginning?
Okay, for the layman's, what he's asking is why are the parents not more responsible for when the child acted?
Yeah, why they don't get punished?
That was a long way I said. Let's for
Why they
the
don't get
layman's.
punished?
Yeah, he was looking like he was lost, that's why.
It comes into a certain issue where is the parent necessarily responsible in this particular case? Often they are, often they may not necessarily be. So you have to sort of
Case by case.
on a case-by-case basis, right? And yeah, because when children grow up, by the time they get into adolescence and that kind of thing, the peer group is one of their larger influence than the parental body,
Damn.
right? So you could very well have a case where mom was trying to guide you in all the right places, and it just didn't take.
When they say a man has to be in the house, because he was saying that like it has to be part of it, are you talking about a patriarchal household, or is it run by the woman? Or you understand what I'm asking, right? Does the man run the household? Does the woman run the household for this thing to function? Who's the head?
I wouldn't look at it in terms of who runs the household. I would
You gotta play that political side, bro. I understand.
No, and it's just a matter of let both parents be good people. that is what needs to be done here. Right?
But sacrifices.
Right? Yeah, and in the home, people will come as individuals. The man, the woman will come with different strengths, right? If it is that they could put the ego aside, okay, you better run in this, you run that. I better run this, I run that. And do it like that, it will work better, right?
That's a big if.
That's a bit. No, because talking about in a matter, two people is good people is ideal. Where you respect me, I respect you. That's typically that be the case. Where it would be a situation and there's somebody looking down on somebody and not talking about this way, looking down on this way. Because he probably not earning as much or whatever. So she looking down on him. So you outwardly disrespect, those households work. That the mother outwardly disrespects the guy now, disrespects the father. Who is like, nah, yeah, like your father is times. Kind of vibe. Yes, bro, there's some anecdotal stories I can tell you for days.
Yeah.
Where it's like, your father sent us off.
Yeah, but you see, the next thing about that is, guy had to take some responsibility there because you wait till you have a child.
He stuck around too long.
Exactly. You
Stay taken, yeah,
that disrespectful thing was They the entire time.
Always there.
It's always there. You wait till you have a child.
So
Yeah,
yeah, short.
Poor
Well, it's only
fella,
full
poor
Sims.
fella, there's the only woman he could have get. You know,
He's a
he
done
had,
non select. He's
done
good
nonsense.
looking.
And then the one woman who gave him attention, he's like, boy, I might as well. You know?
Spray and spray.
Yeah, he had to pray.
You pray first.
Pray.
Then you have to pay to spray.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, these statistics are a little bit startling, but again, it kind of bolstering what we've been speaking about for the past 17 shows. All right, getting to the point of women and men really not having that necessarily a guideline to follow. Right? We hear any statistics now, and the answers are still you could call it interpreted differently. Or the questions are interpreted differently. So generally speaking, from the point of trying to come up to a solution, solutions are there for the two people who are interacting based on the information given. They could come up with a solution for themselves. But then that was also cause problems in society. Because they say, well, comparison is the thief of joy. So you would see my neighbor living a particular type of way, and they're going out every weekend and they're having trips to there and trips to here. And we had to stay home until we learn because we have a whole different
Make a
setup.
mistake. We make a mistake and make a check.
And we have a child. And our neighbors, they can either living it up, right? And one out of the two people in this scenario going to look over the fence and be like, but why we can't do it this way? And that is where the issues start happening. Usually is a man who needs to be the one to come and say, hey, this is what we're doing, right? The issue I'm seeing now is that when a man comes and says that, he's met with opposition, not from only his woman, but from society on a whole. Because what we're seeing is that we're hearing women, well, society telling women, hey, you could do what you want to do. You could be who you want to be. You definitely don't need no man to tell you how to live.
You could just take the rose. You know what roses?
No.
Okay, you don't
know
want to find out.
She could tell
She
you.
could tell you.
It's all good.
It's a flower. It's a flower. It's a,
I saw a popular trend on TikTok as well to call, they're starting to call it, this is not my words, this is the trend, they call it whole math. Whole math.
Oh,
All right?
You know what you're talking about?
You know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about.
I don't.
Right.
What is it?
Okay, so that's the analogy that they don't have a ring, so no man can tell them what to do. They can live their life free, disengage, and do whatever the hell they want to do because consequences seem to not exist on social media. Right? There's a lot of different types of math going around.
Yeah.
Boy math, whole math. And different, all sorts of mathematicians on
No, it's a 85.27 mathematician.
on social media. these days.
Yeah. So there's a lot of mathematicians going around, right? But it's very inane, simple things that they're trying to turn into the liberation, right? They turn this liberation into something empowering. When in truth and in fact, it kind of causes a detriment to the future.
Yeah.
Because though somebody who has proper discernment could look at this and say, hey, they're stripping
Yeah.
there are a lot more people who will see this and be like, hey, but this person making me
time.
feel that type of way.
Yeah.
You know, and we looking at that and don't have a pushback to it. The most we could do is look at it and say, hey, this is what it is, you know. So would there be any advice to somebody who has children in their adolescence, somebody who is interacting with young people on how to guide them? If you could provide some guidance into
And young people, you said young people who have children?
Teenage.
adolescents into early 20s. The
Early
people who are
before
most
25.
influenced by social media.
Let me say teenagers, so secondary school, tertiary, early tertiary.
With children or without children?
Okay, so these are the children. We're talking about people who have children in this
Yeah,
scenario.
In this bracket, yeah.
In this bracket.
Okay. So the advice is for the parents or teachers?
For the parents.
Okay, all right. Model good parental interactions. At least when don't do anything that would cause your child, if they were to copy it, that you wouldn't like it. Right? Make sure, don't disrespect your husband or your wife. Just generally, just don't disrespect your husband and wife, but definitely don't disrespect them in front of their children. Right?
And don't disrespect the next. Well, we talking most likely if you're a teenager, you're married.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So don't disrespect the parent, what's it called? The
co-parent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do that before you have children. And this is where you alluded to in terms of society and what's going on. A lot of people think that they don't need the man in the home. Like, yeah, but I just do it myself. I just raise it. Even if you have like a good job, that doesn't necessarily mean that you've reduced the as I said earlier, and that's why I made sure to point out that already researchers said that even in high income household, that doesn't necessarily bring down your risk that much, right?
Okay.
So it's not like you just need the man to pay the bills.
No.
Yeah. You need the influence of the male figure in the home, and it helps to have that in there
For both boy and girl.
for both boy and girl. Yeah.
Because, I mean, plenty women going wherever they going and buying sperm and coming back with children or coming back pregnant.
Yeah.
Yo, they going in a sperm bank. We could get a jar full of that.
Yeah, and it's
$100 less.
I tend to identify that as selfishness because it's I want a child, not my child have the optimal upbringing. It's I want a child.
Yeah.
I want a child like it's a doll.
Right.
Oh God.
So they're
Oh.
basically filling in the checking in boxes
Yeah, checking the boxes for themselves.
for themselves. All right. Well, there we have it. Yeah.
Well, does that apply also for like marriages? Because people, I want the wedding, but I don't want the marriage.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that because I mean, I guess especially in female spheres, being married comes with elevated social status. You know, you see some. I was laughing when I see some of these memes on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like when I get married, like there was a meme I saw recently. When I get married, there will be signs, and the person was in a taxi, and they just stretching the hand just to show everybody the ring.
Sure, everybody do it. Yeah. No, that happens. It happens a lot because like I've seen, and I'm not going to call anybody names, but 1 week she fly in the world doing the most, and the next week you're married. You never see this man out on, like, this was the most baffling thing to me. Who is this guy? Like, there was no evidence that this person was in a
You
relationship.
check the social media, there is no boyfriend. Boom. And then poof,
One day.
boyfriend.
But this is also somebody who checks the boxes. All right?
He probably has a decent job, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Excellent career. Have the body of somebody who works out and, you know, doing all the things that people would say if you look from the outside, you say, yeah, this is really somebody who making sense.
So is social status like a leading force of most people's actions now, you would say? Like being able to be perceived as something.
Being able to be perceived as something was always a heavy motivating factor in both male and female.
No, I'm not talking about female, I just don't want just in general. Shit.
Yeah.
So
that was always important to everybody.
Somebody always want to be seen as this or seen as that, yeah.
Damn.
Always would be driven, society be driven forward, I guess. You know, if people were all the same as like Whoville, if everybody was just happy.
Who was that?
That's the Grinch.
Oh, whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
This is the one reference I did not get.
That's all right.
People really like one of the earlier psychological theories put esteem. If you ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Yeah.
right, esteem was one of those.
Yeah.
Those.
That's 3.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
I don't know what the exact number is, though. I mean,
No, I remember
Come on,
physiological, then thing,
I
family.
can't report myself to know all that.
Yeah.
But I've heard of it.
Because you say Maslow, okay, we do it in this podcast. Wow, but that's stupid people. Some of them, no offense, audience, but I try to make it as simple and plain for all as possible. So Google Maslow's is MASLOW hierarchy of needs.
Hierarchy of
Yeah.
needs.
Just specify any things that people are driven towards in terms of their needs and the levels in which they present themselves.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have explored, for the most part, in a preliminary conversation, what drives the issues in our current day. So, we have evolutionary psychology being diametrically opposed to society and values and norms, right? Trying to bridge that gap.
Well, I don't want to say opposed. But because ultimately, even society's values and norms are products of evolutionary psychology because they are made by people, right?
Yeah.
So it's just that society and humans are just so complex that values could have conflicts between it at certain points in time, right?
Different cultures, different pieces.
Even within our culture, you could have conflicts of values could emerge just depending on the particular situation.
Right. So there's no clear-cut solution.
Well, I mean, there's strategies one could probably put in.
It will be case by case.
In terms of let's just talk about that particular situation with inform people that men are needed in the home, fathers are needed in the home, and it's not a door that you're going and bring into the world, right? That particular person that you're bringing into the world would benefit from both mother and father. So it's not just up to you.
You put as a Twitter post.
That's a very important statement.
Right?
Your child is not your doll.
Your child is not your doll.
Jersey. I say that
Right.
shit.
Because here we have a family where children are involved. And back to one of the points I mentioned, infidelity taking place. Is it now that infidelity takes priority or precedence over the fact that this child needs the father in the home? And women, I'm going to be real brazen here. Women leaving because they get horn, right? Not taking into consideration that, hey, the children might still need their father. So when the child is born, this woman becoming more self-centered or less self-centered is really the remedy to help these children out. However, they're looking at, I can't take that, I leave it. And no, you see it, I not taking no horn, I go on.
Or if he horn, I had a horn too.
Or I could horn back and that kind of situation. What we asking women to do or telling women to do, it is not in your best interest to react from that scenario, right? Because just like the man who wait until he have a child to take disrespect, this woman know this man was a hot number from the get-go. It's not today you just happen to find our next woman in his car, right? So
In your car on top of it.
who's at your car? You understand? Spending from your card, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't know that you always knew that this was a potential issue.
Yeah.
So coming to have the child and then leave is really a faux pas on the woman's part. So is it now a matter of selfishness when they realize that the water more than flour, the pan too hot, and they're looking to jump out when children involved?
Because now they have a bargaining chip.
Yeah. That one is more difficult to navigate in terms of, because, I mean, infidelity is something that has pushed a lot of feelings forward.
Yeah.
Right? And it is very difficult for the average person to be able to make that rational decision to be like, okay, you did X, Y, Z, but X still needs his father in the home. Right? That is not something that you could take. I can't blame anybody for saying this was too hurtful at a particular point in time. Although it would still be in the best interest of the child to have the input of the father. And again, this is also assuming that the father is a good person.
Is a good person.
Right?
Yeah.
This is assuming that the father is a good person.
So horning doesn't necessarily be an indication of a bad or good person.
No.
Oh, good stuff. Oh boy.
Is it both
People,
on the male and female side?
everybody have the flaws. Right?
All right. So if it's only both male and female side, that even if she's hoarding, she's not necessarily a bad person.
No.
All right, understood.
She has like sperm, that's not yours.
I mean, what are you going to consider to be a bad person?
Well, somebody will let you ejaculate in them and then make our next man ejaculate and then let you taste it.
This is anecdotal. This is something we definitely heard this on the podcast where a woman had intercourse with her next man. That the man finished inside of her
Ejaculate. Yeah, that's the word.
and went to her partner and let him perform cunnilingus on her.
Yeah.
You know,
Just to do it.
just because it was a get back.
At him horning, yeah.
Okay.
So does then, looking at that, would you be able to say, you might be
That's some
somebody out
malicious
just
shit.
around my child?
That's some malicious shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to label the person a bad person, but I would probably say that I'm not comfortable. I could say I'm not comfortable with you. You display qualities that are in conflict with a good mother,
Like what?
or a good partner.
You know, you talk like kind of like, you remember the dog who was in the car with the girl with the cheesecake? It's just like, mom, well, I had my expectations. And
Oh,
stuff
yes,
like that. Yeah, let's so smooth.
Smoothly, suave.
Because he could have cussed her out, but he's like, I on Instagram, let me see how I go and put this across in the best possible. Because there wasn't a podcast after, the two of them.
Oh, they went places.
Yeah. The two of them explaining the circumstance. And she fight down this position.
As a couple or like opposing each other?
I never watch it. I just see them on a podcast. And it's like,
I
so,
saw the I saw it.
So maybe they work it out.
maybe I think it could be a prank. This whole thing could just be fake.
Oh boy.
I'm not even sure.
That's the next thing with social media. We're really not sure what's real from what's not real.
Yeah.
Because them seem, they said, no, I was like, I wouldn't go on no podcast with them. Let's check.
Although I think if it was a fake, that guy has excellent acting skills.
You can really act.
Yeah. He really
I don't really pay much attention to it. I just would probably like see it in your feed and be like, gosh, I can't tell if it's real, so I'm not even going to follow this.
None. So, okay. Because you would have to be on social media and that kind of thing. Where would you recommend? Because all these young'uns want to Google every fucking thing. I was like, that's where I get my facts from. After I go to Google
Stats. Yeah.
where could you actually recommend when there's somebody bring forth information that like go and find some?
This is for the child or the parent?
No. Just in general, like information, because people will go on the internet now. You talk any topic, Google it, 2 seconds, bloop. Oh, look what Google say. And then them just, 50% of people is aliens, and them went off on that.
Yeah.
You understand?
So a proper reference.
A proper reference point.
A proper reference point. I mean, again, it depends on the information you're looking for. That's why I asked in terms of who you're talking about is the parent of the child, because the parenting TT, they put up good stuff in terms of well, obviously parenting.
Parenting TT?
Parenting TT.
Okay.
Remember that one.
Yeah, we gotta do some deep diving.
Yeah.
Because the once we start getting these statistics, we go to the conversation helps, or he's a nation per se. Right? That's what they see. All right. What we try to do is put that to the test. All right. So we need to have proper statistics in place so that we can identify, all right, logically, and then the nuanced perspectives that logic might be able to really answer, because knowledge seems as a square and the nuance is whatever object you want to call it. All right?
A rhombus.
A parallelogram or whatever the case is, right? But we need to mesh the two together so that the narrative being pushed out now would be able to be identified by both more logically minded people and more nuanced people who come from different backgrounds, because everybody like to use this word spectrum. It's not a spectrum. It's annoy the shit out of me, right? But you really have to take it for what it is. When they say spectrum, they mean that not everybody's situation is the same, of course. But at the end of the day, we all human. So it's really a beneficial thing to hear professionals as yourself come on and give these statistics, point us in the right direction as to where to look for these statistics, so that we could have a better general understanding.
And of course, there's some responsibility on the backs of all professionals in terms of not everybody is going to go looking for information. Sometimes you have to help bring the information to people, right? So I admire people who go to schools, have talks, give talks at health centers, and just put things over, like what I'm doing here, putting information over the
ethos.
No,
just putting information out there, because not everybody is not gonna cross everybody's mind. Okay, what I could search to be the best parent, or what about this, or what about that? Right? It's not gonna be.
I don't see what's going to happen here. Now, what's going to happen here is me and him are going to work on our book. We're going to work on our book. He going to get all these stats and the scientific shit, and I going to get funny. Like, so we will get something done. I sense in this.
So when it comes to masculinity, all right, this is the final point that we're looking to drive into. Masculinity on a whole is lacking in our society. All right? Give us some guidance as with respect to from the young person's point of view.
But first, I wanna just clarify. What do you mean by masculinity?
Masculinity. When I say masculinity, I'm talking about the frame with which men uphold themselves in society. All right. Really and truly, I'm looking at it from the point of view that you need strong men to defend against the psychopaths. Strong men to defend against the violent maniacs outside. All right. What we are not doing is empowering our boys and men to really fill that role of I am a leader. I am strong enough. I could create the environment so that my offspring could have a better place to live in. What we are actually doing is we empowering women to create that.
Because what happened after feminism, there's like, I am woman, hear me roar. They push women and stem women. Yo, you can't fold that one. It have women.
Affirmative action.
I talking about women programmers push them to do every single thing. As it's like, what we pushing the boys to? Yeah, play sports, nigga.
Not just play sports.
Play sports, Monopoly, and whatever.
Just
some
exists.
Goofy shit.
All right? Because I've heard men speak, and what they say is that they tend to not like going to therapy because therapy is basically feminizing men's problems. That is what I've heard them say. All right? They say it based on the point of view that men are being told to sit down and speak about the problems as opposed to handle it in a hands-on way. All right? Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's not. What I'm just doing is reporting based on what men have
Life
said.
on the streets.
Yeah, just talking to brethren. He had to go relationship counseling because the girl want him go and
the therapist is just kind of side with the girl because he as like no matter what his issues is, no one cares.
Nobody cares, right?
One that does just reflects a poor therapist.
I've had a couple.
So he's explaining this to me, and other men have explained these things to me, and looking at it from that point of view, where the masculinity is lacking is young from the early age, tender age, that we say primary school. Boys don't have as much positive male role models in society anymore. All right? Definitely because I could tell you from my anecdotal evidence, I've seen much more girl empowerment, woman empowerment, which mightn't be a bad thing. However, we need to also have, if men are the ones responsible for enforcing laws, enforcing rules against the ones who come as the villains, the psychopaths, the improper behaved people.
The deviants.
Yeah.
That's what you really want to use.
Right? If men are responsible for fighting against the deviants, why then isn't there much more empowerment in place to create stronger men? So if I answer your question about masculinity, is to have a stronger identity when I say I'm a man. So if somebody says, what does a man mean to you? You could kind of identify it with words a little bit better rather than saying, well, I can pay the bills.
I have a penis.
I can make children. That's just the biological part. But we're looking at the essence of a man. What really makes you a man versus just an existing person in society. You know?
Okay. Again, I think in terms of that particular question, there is a little social wiggle room there in terms of what would make a man a man. Because I mean, anybody here does hunt?
Well, my dogs are hunt for me, so.
Well, most men.
You're looking at the original people, bro. The only thing I can't shoot is a bow right now, but I up in that bush.
But most men do hunt. But at some point in time in society, that would have been a defining characteristic of a man.
Right.
Man is the person who must go and hunt.
Right.
So that just shows that there's some social influence in terms of what characterizes a man.
Right.
It should be done to. You should be a positive person, right?
A positive influence on the society as a man.
Yeah. Well, of course, to be a positive influence, you got to be a good person yourself. Right. You had to focus on doing the things that you are good at, good things that you are good at, doing them well, and seeing how best you could improve yourself. Right. All that influence thing will come after. Right?
Understood.
You know, it's a nice way of saying it. It's like work on yourself.
Work
king.
on yourself.
Work on yourself, king.
Yeah. And then of course.
Then these also come.
And then of course, if once you could identify the things that you're good at, you could identify your direction that you want to be. Yeah, if you're good at cooking as a man, well, you get yourself in tourism school or whatever it is. That is an avenue for you to go down. Right? You are shifting high at wherever it is that you want to.
But is sexual proclivity the thing that he should be focused on? Ah, man. Like, that's what he's good at. He's good at bullying girls. And I asking a serious thing, by career, bull 20 girls. That's what I good at. I talked to and I asked this on an anecdotal point. I'm not sure if you know that guy. I was like, dog, I talked to this youth guy. He was like a few years younger than me. I was like, you could do more than this. You go in UE, wherever. He's like, nah. I get that Lincoln petrol train. I was like, well, what about traveling? You want to travel thing? That's exactly what he says to me. He said, but I went to Switzerland last week. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I bought a thing from Switzerland. I bought a thing from France the week before I real traveling. But not traveling the world. Like, he just talking about having sex with them. And that's his claim to fame. That's all his, what he's going to leave his mark on. Most likely you'd have more children than you and me combined. Because, most likely he's in rows. But the point is, sexual proclivity is what he's good at. Are you talking about that? Or are you talking about an actual thing that can benefit? Because I don't want to, I'll set at them little nigglets running around. I don't know about somebody who...
That, again, obviously, that would have a negative impact on general society and possibly a negative impact on him in terms of STIs, that kind of thing. And you really want to be in court so often.
It's white women, they've been taking them to court. You bola Canadian thing, the government is mine them, Jaren. You laughing is serious thing. That's why a lot of Trinidadian men went out there. Bola Gil not take care of the child, the government is mine them. 500 a month, apparently.
Again, impact of father in the home, right? Right?
Because I mean
that is just you being selfish in the same way the woman who just want the child being selfish.
I just want a break. Basically, bro, we talk about child, I just want a break.
So trying to lobby for creating a stronger sense of masculinity in the country. Not to the point that masculinity is toxic, because it's also being said that there are certain traits of traditional masculinity that is toxic. I do agree with it. And that's where it's been sort of eradicated from the curriculum. Trade schools, things like that kind of getting a little bit pushed to the side. And we actually just leaving boys by the wayside. Right? They're just growing up, Form 1, Form 2, Form 5.
Government worker.
Yeah, they become a government worker. And you ask the average man, what is your direction? What is your goal? What is your purpose in life? That is non-existent.
But I just want to get a little link in the petrol train. Cool.
You hear certain people saying, but I just want a side hustle to add to my salary so I could live good.
So I could knock out a few skins and cool.
Right? Every weekend, they buy a bar, they're drinking, they're looking for
women of ill
woman.
Women of ill repute.
And it's just the same cycle over and over. Our society hasn't produced, in the past 10 years, I would say, much examples to stand on the world stage. Yeah, we had certain sportsmen who did well, but look at the past where we had somebody like Brian Lara. We had Dwight York. I'm going to tell them there. Right? But we had Dwight York because he make it to the upper echelons in
we had VS Naipaul.
We had VS Naipaul. We had so many men and women who shone on the world stage, right? That is no longer a thing that's happening. Because I like to argue and say Trinidad and Tobago celebrates mediocrity. All right? And that mediocrity is stemming from the fact that we're not pushing our boys to be better. We're not actually asking them to excel. The ones who excel is based on nepotism. Right?
What's the thing is always say, when it's a fellow who have real money and they do that competition anxiety, the thing when they never have to prove anything.
No burden of performance.
They have no burden of performance. The men who getting through because their father get through 20 years before them and it's like, take that business.
Yeah, so they just winning because it was already laid out there for them. But we're not talking about the self-made men, the men who come from nothing and actually make it above the regular person. That doesn't exist anymore due to the fact that our society at large praises mediocrity, pushes mediocrity. All right? Do you have any pushback on that or you want to add to that?
If I were a policymaker, I would emphasize creating good people. I wouldn't emphasize so much on the masculine aspect of it. I would put as wide a range of positive things available, the welding, the trades, the whatever it is, and make those things available so that people who want to do these things could excel. And I would push people to do things that they're good at and would excel at. I wouldn't really push it as a we want better boys or we want better this or we want better that. Right. I would make all the avenues available for somebody to excel.
People. Understood.
He has to politically pass. He can't say I don't want these to succeed. He can't say that.
Right. So in wrapping up, because we reached the end of our program. Hey, you're quiet, so in the corner, you ain't going to shoot nobody tonight.
Yeah, just 3 men tonight. You know, I thought we'd bring one on. We did.
Bring our man. Right? Wrapping up here. Any final words based on what you would like to share as a message in leaving to our audience?
Okay. This one goes specifically to men again. You feel that psychology needs you. Right?
It have mainly female psychologists.
It's overwhelmingly female.
So even in his thing, okay.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly female. And that again is for, to extent, some evolutionary biological reasons.
Right.
Right? Like just there's sort of a difference in terms of what men are interested in and what female men are interested in.
Understood.
Well, Freud was just bullying them bitches. Freud and Carl Jung with them was bullying them girls.
Mr. Jung.
Yeah, but there are still avenues in psychology that a man could find appealing, right? And it also gives you, you're looking at positive role models and stuff, and where men access therapy and stuff, they tend to sometimes feel more comfortable with male therapists, right? So therefore you get to assist men who need that type of assistance. And,
Right.
And again, you're creating avenues where people could develop because you as a male therapist are there and you create the possibility for at least attract more men to come in to get help or assistance.
Yeah.
Well, you have anything, your business, I don't
Social
know,
media
your
handles.
clinic, that you unplug.
Okay, so I am the owner and chief clinical psychologist of Sandy Shore Psychological Services, right?
Sandy Show.
Oh gosh, man. You had us. That's what you're trying to say. Oh gosh, the hypergamma is 10 night. Dry up your seats.
And where could anyone find you on social media?
Yeah, it's the Facebook and Instagram pages. It's just Sandy Shore Psychological Services, right? So people see the develop my ads. So
All the young men who might be in need of a male psychological perspective, look up Sandy Show.
We have your mental health.
we have female psychologists as well.
Yeah, but I think young men more comfortable with talking to men because women. I'm not going to go out on them and say women aren't good psychologists because they probably are, but understanding the male dynamic is a little bit nuanced. All right, Lady G, you're square tonight.
Yeah, I'm just taking it in.
Oh, don't worry, we'll take a lot more in after.
Shush.
Jesus, where has this gone?
Went straight to hell anyway. But
Any final
hand
words?
baskets, yeah. Two Measy at
Mr. Bazzi.
Mr. Dot Bazzi _ and of course Hiho. Oh, by the way, yeah, we were supposed to say that we are the phone Christian. We're talking. Anyway, yeah. I hope you enjoy yourself.
It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, that's all. It would be a cool vibe.
All right. As usual, do good every time. Good will follow. Next episode, we'll see you again. Peace.
This one time,
I keep
at
pressing it.
band camp,